I have a baby shower coming up this weekend, and I did not forget about it, but I did kind of forget about the like make the gift for the baby shower part. So we're gonna start working on that tonight. I'm gonna be making honestly a really good beginner sewing quilting project. First of all, if you want to learn how to sew or quilt or crochet or anything, find a baby, because baby items are small and fast. That's like my biggest tip, is find a baby, make stuff for the baby. Also, babies are like really good critics. They're like to pretty much everything. So anyway, I know how to sew, and I'm gonna show you how to make this. So if you want to make something for a baby in your life, someone you know is having a baby, this is a really, especially if it's a girl. If it's a boy, maybe don't make this exact thing, but there are other quilts out there that you can make for a baby boy. Anyway, there's a girl on Instagram named Savannah that I follow, and she made a really pretty version of this quilt a few weeks ago, and I've been thinking about it ever since. So that's what we're going to be making today. It's just a really basic quilt. There's not really any piecing to do on the top. It's just a front and a back and a really pretty ruffle around the edge. Let me show you what we have. My friend Keegan is getting ready to have her first baby girl. She already has 2 boys, but she's having a girl, so we're super excited. I picked up this Warm and Natural crib size. This actually might be baby size. I don't know what the difference is. I think they sell a crib size and a baby size. This is the baby size of just cotton quilt batting. And then I got 4 yards of fabric. That was too much. I was just like spitballing to the fabric lady, and she's like flipping, rolling the fabric out. And I'd already said 4, and she'd like counted 4, and I was like, that's too much fabric. So you're gonna see a lot of this fabric over the coming years, probably. It'll take me a long time to go through it all. But anyway, so my friend that's having the baby, her name's Keegan. My friend, not the baby. We don't know the baby's name, that'll come into play later. Keegan is not super girly. She already has 2 sons, so she's like very boy mom. But I do know that she wants the baby girl's nursery is gonna be purple. They only had ugly purple fabric at Hobby Lobby, so I went with this one. And it's just this like very dainty floral. How pretty is this? It does have some purple flowers in it, so I'm hoping that it'll kind of tie in with what she's got going on in there, even though this isn't really purple. That's pretty much it. That's all the materials that I got for this. And I also don't have a plan, really. We're gonna wing it, and I'm gonna walk you through it, so maybe you'll feel comfortable winging stuff also, because honestly, a lot of the time, I am winging it. That's what's fun to me about arts and crafts, is like, you can just kind of figure stuff out as you go. That's what we're gonna do. Like I said, I got 4 yards of fabric. I don't recommend you get 4 yards. Once we're done, I'll tell you how much I actually ended up using, but it's certainly gonna be less than 4 yards. So we don't know baby girl's name. Otherwise, the first step of this project would be I would embroider her name on the bottom corner. Since we don't know her name, we're going to skip that part, and we're gonna just move on to the first step is actually gonna be quilting. So typically when you make a quilt, the first step is to piece your quilt tops. Look at this lovely graphic here. You can see that there's different colored squares. You have to cut all those out and put them together. That's kind of the first step. So we're not gonna be piecing a quilt top. The quilt top's just gonna be this one big piece of fabric. There's a word for it. Maybe it's whole panel quilt. I'm not sure. There's an official word for what it is when you don't have a pieced quilt top. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do. And we're going to have just, this fabric is gonna be the front and the back and the ruffle. So it's really just gonna be, we're gonna quilt. I'm blabbing. Roll the tapes. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get my batting laid out on the floor, and then I actually might, let me back up. I'm gonna lay my fabric out on the floor and then lay the batting on top of it so that I can cut the fabric down to the size of the batting. This is, like I said, baby size batting, so it's gonna be pretty small. I'm not certain that it's smaller than the width of my fabric. It doesn't matter. I'll explain that when we get there. So I've laid my fabric with, hello, my neighbor's home. I laid my fabric with the right side down, and I'm gonna just take some painter's tape and tape the edges so that it's nice and flat on the ground. So now I'm gonna just open my batting up and lay it across the top of this and kind of trim things down to the size that I want them to be. So I actually decided to turn the batting sideways. It's like pretty big, honestly, especially for like what you'd call like baby size. This is definitely bigger than like most baby quilts that I've seen. So that's awesome. I did turn it sideways and I'm just gonna trim the batting down to be as wide as my fabric is. And then we're just gonna cut everything out now. The top of my quilt and my batting are laying together and I'm gonna use this 505 temporary adhesive and I'm going to spray it. I'm gonna lift the batting up, spray this, and then push the batting back down so it stays stuck together how I want as I'm quilting it. I don't always do this, but for a big like piece to quilt like this, I like to draw my quilting lines using a water-soluble marker on the fabric. If it's a smaller project, I feel like you can kind of get away with just using the little like bar. Let me find it. You can get away with just using this little bar thing that attaches to your sewing foot, and it just helps you like evenly space your quilting lines. This feels a little high stakes to be winging it like that, so I'm not gonna do that. I probably will, I don't know. I'm just gonna use my big acrylic ruler and a water-soluble marker and draw my quilting lines, just cause that feels like the right thing to do. That was a lot. There's not as much bobbin thread in here as one would hope. Starting to understand why people buy pre-threaded bobbins. I have always been so judgmental. That's such a waste, those are silly. Especially with the embroidery machine, when that thing complains that the bobbin is empty, it takes me out in a way that I can't explain. It really knocks the wind out of your sails. All right, so I have my quilt top and my quilt batting. They're basted together with temporary adhesive, and I went with my, I don't even know that you can see this. Let's see if we can find one. That one right there. Yeah, my water-soluble marker. And I drew all of my quilting lines. So now I'm just gonna, this is my favorite part of making a quilt. A lot of people really hate the quilting part. That's the best part of making a quilt. Sorry. Especially when you're making like a baby quilt like this and it's just like pretty easy to do it on a normal sewing machine. Sometimes it gets stressful if you've got like a big project that you're trying to quilt on a standard sewing machine, but a baby quilt, the quilting is the best part. So I'm going to quilt all of these lines really quick. If you don't know what that means, it just means like sew them. You're just gonna sew the batting onto the fabric in those little lines that we drew. So tragedy has struck. I was just quilting along, things were going great, and all of a sudden my needle went down and like got stuck down there. And now my hand wheel like won't really move. It will if I really force it to, but I don't want to do that. And it gave me an E6 error. So I Googled that, and my manual online says to basically rethread the top, take the bobbin casing out, clean it, make sure there's nothing weird jammed in there, and then to replace the needle. And if those things don't work, I will have to take it to get serviced, which I've never done before. And I'll probably have to call my sister and ask her if I can borrow her sewing machine so I can finish this quilt before the baby shower. That's in 4 days. I'm so scared. Stand back. I also can tell just turning this that it still doesn't feel good. I'm just gonna finish this line and I'm gonna go to timeout and it's gonna go to timeout and we'll see how everyone feels in the morning. I I mean, I feel like it kind of corrected a little bit once we got going. I'm really scared. I'm gonna go night-night. She's gonna go night-night. And maybe everyone will be happy tomorrow and we'll forget that this happened. So everyone had a good time out. But my sister also said that she could drop her machine off this afternoon if I needed it. Guess we're all better. So I'm all done with the quilting. That went really fast, which it always does. I feel like, I don't know. So this is the quilt top. There's a quilt line there. You can't see them that well, but I think that's kind of the point. Right, the blue marker. Let's see. Yeah, so there's one. And then there's the bag. So now I've got to get started making the ruffle. And we're gonna figure that out together. In the video that I've seen, she doesn't like super explain how the making of the ruffle happens. I feel like I'm gonna need to measure the exterior of this and then do some math from there to figure out how long the strip needs to be. But even then, you're gonna ruffle it. So you've gotta have longer than that. I don't know if doubling it makes sense. I watched a few videos about this, and I think the way that I want to do it is basically, I've measured the perimeter of the quilt, and I'm gonna multiply that by 2. So that'll be the total length of ruffle fabric that I need. So my quilt here is 50 inches long and 42 inches wide. So that's 92 inches all the way around once, but I want to double it. So that's going to be 184 inches. So that's how many inches of length that I need of ruffle fabric. I'm kind of on the fence about like how thick I want the ruffle to be. So obviously when you do this math, you're gonna have to double. So if I want the ruffle to be like, I don't know, 3 inches wide, I'll need my ruffle fabric to be more like 6.5 inches wide, because we're gonna double it and you gotta account for seam allowance. I think I like that though, like 3 inches. I want it to be kind of big, because I think that'd be really cute. I've gotta cut out a lot of fabric. I'm gonna cut out 184 inches by 6 inches. I'm gonna have to get multiple strips and sew them together, so I'm gonna show you how I do that too. I did that math wrong, so you actually need to do the length and the width times 2 to get the whole perimeter, and then times that by 2 again to get the double ruffle length. So I'm actually needing like 300 and something inches, which is crazy. So I did some other math and I found out that for the whole width of fabric, I'm gonna need like 9 strips. So I'm gonna cut 9 strips that are 6-ish inches wide. I have 9 strips that are the whole width of my fabric by 6 inches long. So that should get me enough to make the ruffle that I want. I'm also gonna note really quickly, I've never made a ruffle with this method before. I've only ever done ruffles where you gather it by hand, and I hate making ruffles that way. Hate it so much. And I was kind of hoping that my machine had magically like spawned the ruffle foot or like the gathering foot. Hasn't happened. However, I did figure out the method for just doing ruffles with your sewing machine like it is. So we're gonna try it. And that's kind of why I overestimated, because I actually assume it's not gonna ruffle as much as like I calculated. Anyway, this is not an exact science. So the way that I'm going to connect all of my strips into Big Mega Strip is by opening it up. So I've got right side up on this piece. I'm gonna open up one of my other strips and put it right side down like this. I'm just gonna let the selvage edge like hang off because I don't want it to be seen. So I've got this now. You can kind of see this. They're overlapping in a square. And you're just gonna sew the diagonal here. All right, so I sewed this diagonally together. I'm going to take my fabric scissors and trim this big triangle off the top. You like to do. And now when we open this up, look, And the big thing about this, doing your like joining this way, is when you go to fold it, when we make the ruffle, we're gonna have to fold this in half. And you can see the two edges of the seam are in different spots. So it's just gonna make it easier to get through the machine instead of having to try and shove both of these. If they lined up, you'd have to try and get both of them through at the same time. Getting one seam through is hard enough. You know what I mean? So let's just make it easier. Do it this way. So now we're going to make this into a ruffle. From my understanding, this is how you do that. Number one, turn the tension all the way up. Make your stitch length super long. Allegedly, that is how you make a ruffle, allegedly. So what I'm gonna do is take my big strip and I'm gonna fold it in half, like this, hot dog style. And I'm just gonna sew the whole thing. We're gonna do a little bit first and see how it looks because we've never done this before. So this is what it looks like. That's pretty cute. I don't know if that's gonna double it. It actually might. I'm just gonna do the whole thing like this and we will check the perimeter when we're done. I had also seen a lady say that she finds it helpful to hold the thread here at the top and kind of give it some tension. And I am doing that as well. So yeah. I'll see you in like an hour when I'm done with this. So the next thing that I want to do is take this is also going to be the back, take the fabric that's going to be my backing and cut out a piece that is the same size as the main piece here. I also need to eat my words that 4 yards was too much because this is the exact right amount of fabric. I hope this fits. I got the ruffle pinned all the way around. So this was where I started and stopped. So when I got kind of back up here, I cut them so that they had maybe an inch of overlap. I folded one side under about a ½ inch and then tucked the other side in. And I'm gonna take this to the sewing machine just like this and I'm gonna quickly sew a quick line right here. And I'm gonna start or back stitch at the beginning and the end so that it doesn't unravel, and that's how my ruffle is gonna be joined together. So now that my ruffle is attached, I can just put the clips back on, kind of how they were. I actually broke 2 clips doing this, which is like crazy. This step is definitely optional, but I am going to baste my ruffle in place. It's just gonna make everything a lot easier when I put the whole thing together. If you don't want to do a basting stitch, don't do a basting stitch. Basting stitch is basically like a stitch that's not gonna show in the end, and it's like kind of just to hold things in place. My ruffle is basted in place. So now I'm just gonna take my back, lay it on top, and make sure that the right side is facing down, like this. And it should line up perfectly. I'm just gonna clip it in place. Now wishing to sew all the way around again. I'm actually probably gonna sew with my batting side facing up so I can see where that basting stitch is. I wanna make sure that that is like outside of the current seam that I'm sewing because I don't want the basting stitch to show up in the end. Also, back stitch when you start, and then we're gonna go all the way around and we're gonna leave probably a 3 to 4 inch hole. So stop sewing and back stitch about 4 inches from where you started so we can flip it right side out. am gonna take my scissors and clip the corners down. There's my hole. So I like to start my top stitch kind of close to where my hole is so that I can get that out of the way and then go on autopilot for the rest. Here's her glamour shot. I still need to obviously put it through the washer because of the blue water soluble marker. I wiped it off in this kind of area just so we can get an idea. But maybe I'll wash it and we'll come back tomorrow and take another look at it. Here's the whole thing. It is actually pretty big. I'm really happy with the size. I think it's so, so, so cute.